Hello, you're listening to Got Clutter, Get Organized. I am your host, Janet M. Taylor, and I want to say hello if you're a regular listener and welcome if you're listening for the very first time. I hope you're having a great start to your week. And for those of you who are regular listeners, and even if you're listening for the very first time, if you enjoy listening to this podcast, please review it and rate it so we can continue to bring you episodes each week. So whatever platform you're listening to, be sure to rate it. I would greatly appreciate it. In this episode, our guest returning expert, who is a former professional organizer. She is a fellow podcaster. And of course, I like to think of her as a friend, Christy Lingo, business savvy mama. And she's going to be sharing how those of you who are juggling motherhood and family and a business, how to transition back to the classroom. And of course, I will be sharing my product suggestion, app suggestion, and repurpose suggestion, as well as my book suggestion for this week. And my question for all of you this week is, will you be doing anything different as you prepare for the new school year? I would love for you to comment below the social media post, or either, give me a comment on this show page. There's a link you can click and then you can leave me a voice message. So I would love to hear from you. Did you know that having a family command center is key to keeping the entire family organized? When you have a home command center, you're able to keep all the important information in one place. Just wanted to share that with you. I'm excited because our guest, Christy Lingo, the business savvy mama, specializes in helping mom entrepreneurs experience their most fun and fulfilling work and home life. She coaches clients to create boundaries, develop simple systems, and clarify priorities for their business and family in order to do more of what they love with who they love. She also hosts the Business Savvy Mama podcast. In previous entrepreneurial life, Christy spent 10 years growing and building a professional organizing business with zero experience. She works hard to manage her own juggle-struggle and her schedule quality time with her husband, 2 young boys, blind dog, and killer cat. She enjoys camping, hiking, playing PokemonGo, and fantasy footballing. So I want you to get a pen, I want you to get a paper, and I want you to take notes because Christy dropped some nuggets. And of course, you can always listen to this podcast over again. So now sit back and enjoy my conversation with Christy Lingo.
I'm consenting.
Well, listeners, I'm excited because I have the business savvy mama, Christy Lingo, here, and she's going to talk to us because it's fall and you're juggling your business. You're juggling the kids, you're juggling the household. You probably want to scream, which is why I put Christy back. So hello, Christy.
Hi, Janet. I always love talking to you. And, I love to talk about that juggle struggle mom business owners have. So I'm hoping that your listeners can get some helpful nuggets today.
Oh, I like the juggle struggle. Oh, that's a good little
I know,
jingle.
right?
It's a little jingle here. So before we get into all the strategies, Christy, what really made you focus more on the businesswoman? Because you are a professional organizer, a fellow professional organizer. I always think of you like that. But I know right now you're focusing on the moms who are business owners.
Yeah, I think it felt like the next natural progression for me as a business owner. I spent 10 years as a professional organizer, started my business just before we started our family. And one of the questions that I kept getting from other moms who wanted to start businesses, like, how are you doing this all? How can you schedule it all? How do you still make time for your family? They would see my pictures on Facebook or Instagram. They're like, you look happy. Are you actually happy? Or is this all just for the social media? And I was like, I actually am happy. I love my business. I love my kids. I love my family. And I have figured out a way to make room for it all. And so the more questions I got about it, the more it made sense to try to make money doing it. So now I coach moms to really find fun and fulfillment, both as a business owner and as a family person, because I think they work together as opposed to being two separate entities, which is a lot of times how we think of things.
So interesting. So, Christy, now that we're in this back to school mode, and it's a little different because, some parents are going back to the office, some parents are going to continue working home. So,
like, what are some of the things that parents are just feeling a little bit overwhelmed with? I know it's like the supplies, the clothes, the artwork, all the other stuff, but what are some things that business moms are really dealing with?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like everything ground to a screeching halt, and then everything just 0 to 60 shot back up again is kind of how I feel like my life is. And a lot of the moms in my community feel a very similar thing. So I think that it's that struggle of both sort of the lessons we've learned about slowing down and that, but then wanting to get back to some sense of normalcy. And I feel like the struggle is really trying to find our balance for what works for your family, what works for your kids, your business, your working life, your mom life, really trying to find that balance, because so many of the moms that I talk to didn't necessarily love pre-pandemic hustle bustle. They liked maybe not the nothing, but they did like the slowdown. And so how can you maintain some sense of that sort of uh, intentional, focused, but not overwhelming schedule without feeling like you're just staying home all the time?
And that is so true. I mean, I think, even single business women can relate to that. I mean, the screeching halt and do nothing, but also do I want to go back to that hustle and bustle and travel and this and that. So, what are some tips and strategies? And I'm going to be taking notes, Christy, on on how you can navigate that whole transition. I mean, it's a new season. Kids are going back to school. They got the supply list, but then a lot more business women are being asked to either be on site or maybe a couple times a week. Business is picking up. So how can they all navigate it?
Yeah, it is a lot. And again, it's a lot to sort of all of a sudden kind of be back in this mode. I have our neighbor, they gave them a week notice and they had to figure out childcare and all this kind of stuff. They're like, you're back in the office. And so it's something that we all need to be thinking about. And then on top of that, you've got schools back in session with activities, which they maybe had school last year, but they didn't have activities, or there's other things that are open back up again. So what I really like to emphasize is priorities. What are the things as a mom or as a business owner? These are for anybody. This, you can use this to figure out your priority tasks. Figuring out your priorities and then really focusing in on what you value. And one thing that I use personally and share with my clients is what I call the trim the to-do list method. So their trim is an acronym. I love me some acronyms. So T is for time sensitive. Does it have a due date? Then it's a priority. You need to do it. Is it required? That means that it's necessary. So for instance, if you've got a multi-step project that you're doing, is this step required so you can move on to the next step? If so, it's a priority. It's something that you actually need to do. It needs to be on your schedule. The I is impact driven. So is this something that will positively or negatively affect your family life, your business life? It's something like it could be going to the doctors. That's going to positively or negatively impact your health. Or it could be, posting on social media or showing up for a live chat because it could positively or negatively impact your business. And then finally, M is for money related. Will this task either make you money by, it's a business activity, which will mean that you're going to make money by doing it, or will it cost you money? So avoiding paying your bills or avoiding, any number of things that could eventually cost you money. Getting the oil changed on your car could cost you money if you don't do it, because your car could run into further problems. So if you look at your list of tasks and you think, is it time sensitive? Is it required? Is it impact driven? Is it money related? Do those things first, and anything else is just gravy on top of it.
Wow, that's like a lot to think about, but you're right about that. I mean, now I'm getting more because, last year we were all indoors and now we're getting out. It's like, what do I want to spend my time and energy on? I like those acronyms, TRIM. Well, listeners, I hope you were taking notes. I mean, I started taking notes. See, then what we have to do is we have to listen to this over again. And of course, we always have to connect with Christy in order to really get all the nuggets. So, Christy, with being a wife, a mom of two lovely, handsome men, young men, and of course a businesswoman, and doing your own stuff. How do you do it? How do you figure out okay, this is what I need to do, this is what I don't need, or either what tools you use to do all of this? Because you do a lot
Yeah.
and you're active on social media.
Yeah. Well, okay. So here's the thing is I find fun in what I do. So if it's not bringing me joy, I typically try to get rid of it. Now, obviously, dishes is not bringing me joy at the moment, but for the most part, if it's something that I have a choice about, I try to choose joy. I try to keep it simple. And this is something I've really had to deal with this week. I've been having computer issues and I haven't been able to do everything I wanted to do. If it's frustrating, I just have to let it go. I just have to live in the moment and let it go. But when it comes to kind of juggling everything, then on top of that is I make time for myself every single day to fill my cup. And I make time for family. I put it on the schedule and I make it a task just as important as any of the other tasks, the podcast interviews that I'm doing, or the blog posts that I'm writing, or my podcast that I'm recording. All of those tasks are important. But to me, at this point in time, spending time with my spouse or spending time with my boys is the most important thing. And it has to be a priority on my schedule. That's an impact-driven task that I make sure that I get done.
Wow. Christy, I can listen to you for hours. You're at the teacher at the front of the room, and the rest of us are just filling our little notebooks with all of your nuggets. So, Christy, how can listeners connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm super active, like you said, on social media. Instagram is where I hang out the most, and you can find me at Business Savvy Mama. And I also have a podcast, Business Savvy Mama, where I dive deeper into all kind of the topics we talked about today. We're talking about productivity, creating boundaries, how to prioritize your to-do list, all things like that, that even if you're not a mom business owner, I'm sure you can find some nuggets that are in there.
And of course, listeners, I will have a direct link so you can connect with Christy and get some more nuggets. Christy, thank you so much.
Absolutely, Janet. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Like this show and want to make your own? Let me tell you about Anchor. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Now you can even add any song from Spotify directly to your episode. The possibilities are endless for what you can create, whether it's music analysis, your own radio show, or something the world's never heard before. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free app or go to anchor.fm to get started. All right, did I tell you you need a pen and a paper? Because Christy was going to drop some nuggets. I hope you were able to write them down. And if not, then of course you can always listen to this podcast. And I am excited because Christy is going to be a guest blogger on my blog, on my website. So you make sure you stay tuned for details. So now we're going to transition to Taylor's tip time and just getting ready for the new school year. Number one, you definitely want to get organized. Organize those supplies, organize that coat closet, that entryway. So in making sure that everybody can grab what they want, from the hockey stick to the umbrella. And those clothes, making sure the clothes closet is organized for everyone so they can, be better prepared when, getting dressed in the morning or planning the night before. Number two, create a schedule. Place by the door, the garage, and the kitchen, wherever it's a central location where everybody can see it. Number three is have weekly meetings. Everybody just sit around and say, I've got soccer practice, I've got ballet. Maybe you as a parent are taking some courses, some continuing education courses, and then you're going to be, going to classes, but let everybody know, have it a discussion. Number four is get the kids involved, no matter how young. They can do something. My godson, when he was about 3, maybe 3, 4, his job was just to go around and tie the waste baskets, the bags in the waste baskets. That was it. Now that he's older, he can actually take the trash where it needs to be disposed, but get him involved. And number 5, the maintenance. And that's something you're going to have to do weekly. Or even you can do it nightly, but at least go around making sure shoes are away, making sure the things that are red are put aside, making sure you maybe take some time to schedule to shred things. So again, those are my tips from this week's Taylor's Tip Time. So have you been working on getting organized and feel that you need someone to guide you from start to finish by providing you with details needed to clear the clutter and get organized? Then let's talk so I can share how you can get back on track and get organized with my virtual sessions. All you have to do is go to my contact page and schedule a free 15-minute session to get started. And then from there, we can discuss which plan would work best for you. Or maybe you are overwhelmed, feeling you can't manage all this happening at work, your business, your life. Let me help you. I work with clients so they can get things done without feeling stressed or burned out. So let me help you strategize and organize and create a life so you can have time to do all that you want to do without feeling overwhelmed. And make sure you click the link in the show page. Of course, I want to thank you for following me on social media, for your likes, your retweets. Please continue to share. Follow me on Twitter, on Facebook. I'm back on Instagram as well as Pinterest. And I've got some great boards. I've got a board all about time, home office. Kids can be organized too. There's so many things that can help you transition to that back to school time of year. And then, of course, make sure you check out my YouTube channel and subscribe. Well, what is it? What is it? What time is it? I can hear you chanting all across the country and around the world. It is Toss It Tuesday time. And this week, why not get rid of last year's schoolwork that they really don't need? All those copies, those drafts, those rough drafts, all of that. Let's get rid of that stuff. My app suggestion for this week is Trello, which of course you've probably heard about it before, but it helps you collaborate, manage projects, reach new productivity peaks. From high rises to home office, the way your team works is unique, and accomplish it with Trello. So even if you are just managing your home, I know a lot of people manage recipes and menus with Trello, or they may be doing in the midst of a renovation project. So that's a great app to use. My Amazon product for this week is Command Centers. And of course, there's a link in the show page and you can see all the different ways you can create a command center. Command Center is what you want it to be. It can have a calendar. It can have a schedule of what do you call it? Things that the kids have to do, chores. Or it can have hooks so everybody can put things like backpacks and keys. You can create it to meet your family's needs. And then repurpose, my repurpose section. And you can repurpose old toys if you want, because you're going through all of trying to get everything organized. Because there's a project on my Pinterest board where someone took a mirror, an oval mirror, and they displayed and they glued all the cars around it and they spray painted it gold. So repurpose those things. And of course, my book selection for this week is Boss Mom, The Ultimate Guide to Raising a Business and Nurturing Your Family Like a Pro. Again, Boss Mom, The Ultimate Guide to Raising a Business and Nurturing Your Family Like a Pro. And of course, my product suggestion as well as my book suggestion, you can always go on the show page, click the link and it'll take you directly there and you'll get more details. So my quote for this week is, doing things is not the same as getting things done. That's Jared Silver. Again, doing things is not the same as getting things done. I'll let that. Thank you for listening, and be sure to share this podcast with your family, your friends on your social media. Again, please let me know you enjoyed listening to this podcast, not reading it, listening to this podcast by leaving a review, and be sure to visit my website at janetmtaylor.com. Until next time, I want you to have a clutter-free day and have an organized week. Organization is the quintessential element of a clutter-free life. Join me as we take this journey together. Along the way, we will find the necessary answers to your organizing dilemmas. My name is Janet M. Taylor, and you are listening to Got Clutter, Get Organized.